We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin.
Interrupt this broadcast to bring you this important bulletin from the United Press. Bring you this important bulletin from the United Press.
This is not a test. Every Tuesday, the Journey into Comics Network will bring you The Poor Rapport, your one-stop podcast shop for everything news and topics of personal interest. I am your host, Andrew Poor, and you can hear me every Tuesday.
The following is a Journey into Comics Network production.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Journey into Comics, the podcast about everything nerd, with your hosts, Nate Phillips and Brandon Stone.
We've come a long way from the Prime Minister's exploding cake. Or have we?
Hey everybody, welcome to a very different Journey into Comics. Is this episode 163?
Yes, sir.
Well, you know, I kind of missed last weekend. I'm one of your hosts, Brando. Joining with me today is the co-host with the most, the founder of Journey into Comics, the co-founder of the Journey into Comics Network, Nate.
The faceless bandit. That's what I feel like. You know, I mean, I don't know if you saw the face, but I cleaned it all up.
I know.
I'm trying to be Negan this weekend. And it was Halloween weekend because I'm future tripping because this is Monday, and we're already at Monday in our schedule. But we played, the Walk Among Us is playing Carnahan Hall, or has already future tripped, played. It's weird, Brando. It's weird.
Yes, it is. Now, we are doing this show in my car with the Zoom on portable mode. So please bear with me as we have some mics, because we had to share one mic, and then we had to do it just like we did the segments for the LaFiCon episodes that we put up back in April, which came off pretty well because we were pretty able to easily just one-on-one talk, not talk over each other. So please bear with us with that. But we literally had no time this weekend to plan a show because you played Friday night, you played Saturday, or now tonight as we're recording this. And you're like, hey, come in on Sunday, we'll do a show. I'm like, it's my anniversary weekend, and we have shit going on. So, like, it is just kind of a big cluster for us. But this is how we're doing it. So what we're going to do is we are going to do some segments, spice them together into a show. I would say half-assing it, but this is going to be a lot of work to do. So it's more work on the back end, I think. But, Nate, you just told me, and I looked at you like, what? You haven't watched the Walking Dead season premiere.
No, I have it recorded. I have it ready to go. I actually sat down to start watching it, and Plex server crashed. So I was like, oh, I'll wait a little bit. I'll play some of The Fractured But Whole, which is an amazing game. We could spend a whole podcast talking about how awesome that game is. I'm pretty sure I'm at the end, but I digress.
Where are you?
I'm under the police station.
Not too far off. You got some more to go. I think you've got a whole other dungeon to go, and then you've got some more story stuff to go, and a few more bosses after that. And because I beat the game last week, and thoroughly enjoyed it. It's very South Park.
What classes did you play? What was your whole class setup? Because I am a speedster, cyborg, psychic ninja, I think is what I am, or something to that effect. But I have I really love the mechanic of the gameplay, the flow. It's kind of Final Fantasy Tactics in a lot of ways. You know, the board layout, you know, moves back and forth. I really dig it. That's all I really can say about that game. If you're not playing The Fractured But Whole by South Park, please go get it. Also, have you watched the franchise prequel episode of South Park? It ties into the game. It's like the prequel before the game, and they released it like a couple days before the game actually dropped, right? And the story is essentially that Facebook is allowing people to pay money to sponsor fake ads, right? And what it comes to find out is Coon and Friends, which is all of the South Park heroes, are being misrepresented on Facebook. Come to find out it's Butters as Professor Chaos, and he's spreading all these lies. But at the end of it, the resolve is the teams breaking into two teams, which is where we find them in The Fractured But Whole. And that's all I want to say about it. But I really love the game. And, yeah, I haven't yet watched The Walking Dead because like this episode, that tangent happened in real life with the game. I was like, Walking Dead, nope, go to South Park. I hope to finish it probably tomorrow morning, actually. That's my goal, is that and start Stranger Things, which dropped this week.
So first, to go back to what you said, I was started as a brutalist, and then I went to elementalist, and then I went to assassin.
I think that's what I am.
And then when there's a certain point in the game where the game kind of opens up, and they like you get access to all the classes, and I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I just didn't do anything. So I just kind of stayed as that. I kind of liked my setup. With the game, though, like I found the characters that I liked to use, and I stuck with them. When you said FF Tactics, it's almost like a FF Tactics light. It's very that. It still has a lot of the things from the original that are very Paper Mario-esque, but they do evolve the formula with that. And then with Walking Dead, I watched that on premiere night. It was a pretty good episode, but some people didn't like it. It just, number one, this is the lowest rated season premiere since season 3. Whoa. They lost 6 million viewers from last year. Last year was 17 million. This was only like 11. Woo. And so I thought it was pretty good, considering that I'm looking forward to the storyline unfolding with all that war and everything. But you said you didn't mind if I spoiled.
I don't mind if you spoil, because at the point that I'm going to re-listen to this, I will have hopefully already watched it, so it's not really a spoiler at that point. You're going to tell me it, and while I'm going to hear it, I'm going to do my best to like not absorb the information hardcore, unless it's something like extreme. But go ahead, please spoil it. I don't care. I don't mind.
Okay, so the episode starts with a mimic of the episode 1 with Rick waking up, except it's old Rick. And there's a song playing in the background, and it's like dun 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 dun. Another one rides the bus. It's the Weird Al version. So somebody found a Weird Al CD in the post-apocalyptic world and is playing it in the house. And I'm just like, not how I envisioned that scene going down, bro, for when I read that. But it's cool because, check this out. Throughout the episode, we get the flashes of that, right? Of old Rick. Okay. And then we get like him sweating real bad. Some like light like shining in his eye. You're like, but it's like him, like, then it goes back to him in the episode, like looking around, him doing stuff, and you're like, what are they doing here? And then for the flashes of the old Rick, or what we probably know as the time jump, if you read the comics, he goes downstairs, hobbles with the cane. Judith comes up, talks to him. She's like 4 or 5 now. Said that they build an owl for the festival.
Wow.
So then there's Michonne sitting at the table drinking coffee.
Wait a minute. So you're saying they're building it for the festival means they're already teasing Whisperers. I mean, that's the logical thing. If the festival's happening between the communities after the time jump, there's only so many things you could be doing, so that's awesome to hear. Please continue.
Well, now they spread this out throughout the whole thing, right? Throughout the whole episode, because they sprinkle a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, and then at the end he goes outside, and there's like a new kind of like stone built house, or like across the street from his house. So it's like very like, okay, they've rebuilt Alexandria. Anyway, then there's always these scenes of him flash to his face. He's sweating really bad. There's something in his eye. There's something hanging from a tree that's like a glass thing that's like reflecting the light, and it's getting into his eye. And then you have the scene of them. It shows the communities doing stuff, and them taking out some lookouts and everything. And then they're planning something big. Rick has this big whole speech, like, basically saying only one person has to die. and I will kill him. I will. Now, they go to Sanctuary. Almost the whole group, almost everybody, except for Michonne and Carl, stay behind, right? And they have like these big metal sheet things on the sides of their cars, so that way when they get shot, they're not damaging the cars. And they have the RV with a whole, like, they put a metal thing all around the front of it. He rams the RV filled with explosives into the fence and open area of Sanctuary.
Holy shit!
Blows it open. They open fire on Negan and crew. Gregory was there because they were saying, you sure you got everybody you need? And they bring out Gregory, and he's basically saying the hilltop stands with Negan. And then Maggie's there. And then Jesus, like, the hilltop stands with Maggie. And Simon grabs him and goes, I wasted a lot of effort on you. You're worthless to me. And throws him down. But then all havoc breaks loose and everything, right? Meanwhile, there's another group. There's Morgan Carroll. I'm trying to remember her name. She had an episode to herself last season, and she found the people by the beach. Tara
with Heath.
Heath, yes, but Heath is not here yet. Of course, he went off, and he's doing something different. So it's Tara. There might be one more with them, but I can't remember. But I know it's those three. Oh, Daryl. They're leading a herd. So when they blow down the gates, Sanctuary, the herd.
Does this mean that they're really not wasting time this season and they're kind of just getting down to all-out war and we might be done with it in half a season? Or does this seem like that they're going to kind of really draw this season out and really tell all-out war from all perspectives?
I see that happening more than the half-season thing. I really think that they are. I don't want to see them do a half season because there's only 8 episodes, but I think they kicked it off with a bang, so that way, and then like the next episode they can pull the reins back a little bit. Let's go over here with this guy. Next episode, let's go over here with this guy. The 4th episode. All right, another big thing here, or something. Or they focus over. I think they're going to take their time with it, and then they spend a lot of time with Rick and Gabriel. Father Gabriel and him had words, and also Daryl, and they were like basically talking with Rick, and Rick's like, this ain't about me. It's about us, So then when they were in the heat of it and opening fire and the explosion and everything, Rick had a chance to take out Negan, and he was trying to fire, but it was time to go. We need to get out of here now, right? And Father Gabriel's like, Rick, come on. Rick, this ain't about you, right? So Rick's like, yeah, you're right. Let's go. He takes off, right? And then Father Gabriel gets in his car and he's about ready to leave, and he sees Gregory. So he goes to get Gregory. Then they kind of get trapped by some of the saviors inside, firing from inside the building, or coming out. And now the walkers are coming in, and Gregory breaks for it. When Father Gabriel's like, we gotta wait for our chance. Gregory runs for it, gets the car, and takes off, and leaving Father Gabriel behind. He runs for it, almost getting get by walkers, He ends up finding this door in this little small shack building, opens it up, closes this door. He's safe. He goes, he's breathing heavy, and all of a sudden he hears, "You wearing your shitting pants?"
Oh, fuck.
Because you're about to shit your pants. And Negan is in there. But there's one more scene. And it's the whole thing with Rick sweating and like the light, right? And you're like, what the hell? Why is this light shining in his eyes? He's like underneath a tree or something. And he says, my wrath is outweighed by my mercy.
Oh, so they are really... Does that mean the next episode you're going to see him in the cell? Because, I mean, that line is Rick saying that he could really bring vengeance down upon Negan at any point. Of course, people who don't know all the things of the details of the future tripping time jump are going to be like, what's going on? But as viewers, who have read the books, it's easy to go, well, Rick is essentially saying, Negan, I could destroy you, but my mercy is what kind of carries me, because I could be merciless and then I would just be you.
There's also something that was said a lot in this episode was, this isn't about me. So when it gets to it, he wants to kill Negan, but it's not about him. Yeah, I know, dude. They put a lot of cool stuff into that episode, and I'm looking forward to the next one, and hopefully you can get caught up. And then the next thing I want to touch on is Stranger Things, because I have started it. We are on episode 2. We were going to marathon it last night, and then I had to work the next morning, and she was a little disappointed, and I'm like, babe, I'm not going to make it past 11 o'clock anyway, so we may have had time to watch 2 instead of 1. But picking back right up, it's about a year later in the story. And I will say one thing. This was from episode 2. This isn't spoilerific, because we already know that they dress up like the Ghostbusters, right? So they all got their homemade Ghostbusters outfit on. There's 4 of them, so they're all the different Ghostbusters. But then Lucas and Mike are both Venkman. And Mike's like, Lucas, I'm Venkman. Lucas is like, no, you're not. I'm Venkman. He's like, no, you're not. You're Winston. He's like, of course, he's the black kid. He's like, I never agreed to be Winston, you know? He goes, we both can't be Venkman. You be Winston. I'm not Winston. I can't be Winston. He's like, I'm Venkman. So they start arguing about it. And then Mike starts trying to convince Lucas that Winston is cool. He goes, if he's so cool, then why do you want to be Winston? He goes, I can't be, because you're not black. I didn't say that, but you thought it. So far, so good. I'm really enjoying it. I can't wait to see what more happens with it.
I saw somebody post on their Facebook today that Steven, who was the boyfriend, was their favorite character in season 2. That something happens that makes him maybe one of the best characters all time. So he could maybe have a full... I think if you look at great character building, his story's got to resolve as him being completely opposite of where we found him in the start of the series. So maybe he sacrifices himself to save someone, or does some sort of big heroic thing that gives everybody a different vision on who he is as a character. I'm so excited that this is our last busy weekend, because I actually get to do some shit now. Like watch TV shows and hang out and actually do more podcasts, Brando. By the way, we should tangent into that for a minute. Journey Comics Network dropped a whole new podcast. Dudes with Brews. It's great, episode 1. Nick Maxon from the Doom Room, killing it first episode. It was great.
I feel like a 1980s sitcom with a spinoff of a spinoff. Yeah. I said that to Blaine the other day. Of course,
it's the Podcastrophe spinoff.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but I do plan on listening to it on the way home here tonight from this great event we have going on here. Of course, I do assume this will be the host for LafayCon next year, and of course we are on tap to be involved with that again the next year in a much more of a involved role than we were last year. So that's going to be really exciting. But what we're going to do right now is that we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back after the break with another segment. So stay tuned, guys, and enjoy some tunes.
Brown
back. I hope you enjoyed that little tune. Of course, that was Nate's band Walk Among Us playing. I'm capturing that with the same thing that I am recording the podcast with. I hope it sounds good. I hope it's going to get a good quality sound. But Nate, we have another segment for you here on today's show. We're going to be covering Zachary Levi has been announced to play Shazam.
So I want to tell you about this, Brando, and let me say, it's funny with the Zachary Levi thing because if you'll remember, someone else was being courted as the person who is going to be playing Shazam against Black Adam in the DC universe. Obviously, Black Adam is The Rock, so there was a lot of talk that John Cena was going to get the role of Shazam. It just made sense. John Cena versus The Rock. It's kind of a thing. I mean, only once in a lifetime, twice. Might as well make it 3 times. But I guess that something happened at Warner Brothers. They released an official statement saying that they couldn't see John Cena at all because you can't see him in the role of Shazam. So he's not in as Shazam. However, Zachary Levi is going to take and do this character. I'm interested, man. I don't really know a lot of Zachary Levi's work, but I feel like he looks good as like a possible character. I think nowadays in the different cinematic universe movies, it's so hard to even judge when someone gets cast because you just don't know. Mm-hmm. And even as Jared Leto's Joker, and everybody's like, Jared Leto could play a great Joker. It could be amazing. And then, like, you looked at him, and it was just like, uh-oh. Like, we're doomed. And anyways, I digress. I think this casting could be really great. I hope that the Shazam movie actually happens. I really worry if DC stumbles, and there's some stuff we're going to talk about here in a minute about what's going on in the DC world that is weird to me. Do you know what Zachary Levi's done? Is there anything I should note in my mind from his filmography?
Offhand, no. I would have to look it up, to be honest with you. But I do have a statement that he posted on Instagram. Sure. And he says, honored and greatly humbled to be a part of the hashtag DC Universe by bringing the original Captain Marvel to life. He was, of course, referring to Shazam by the character's original name before DC Comics changed it to Shazam to avoid confusion and legal battles with the Marvel Comics character of the same name. I am beside myself with gratitude, and not only for this opportunity, but also the incredible outpouring of love and support from many of you out there in the world. Now, if you excuse me, I'll be in the gym for the rest of forever. This was, like you said, it was kind of out of like left field for this, because I'm actually looking up on IMDb right now to see, because I want to say he has been in some stuff. And look at that. He was in Chuck. He was in the TV show Chuck. I don't know if you ever watched that. He was in Tangled. He was in Thor: The Dark World.
Actually, I just saw when you pulled that up, the Thor: The Dark World credit. He was one of the Warriors 3. I think it was Fang Grell. So he's dabbled in both Marvel and DC now. DC giving him a much larger role.
He played Ronald McDonald in Robot Chicken.
Ooh, Ronald McDonald, that's a cool role. In Robot Chicken. Fandral, yeah, okay, cool. As you said, he was Chuck in Chuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess so.
Okay, so he is Chuck. We are Groot. This is Brandon, we're almost at the point in our podcast where I can make the hilarious, I feel terrible that I just smudged the glass. Caitlin's going to be like, what is this from? And it was a podcast. The answer is...
It was because of that movie's name.
Because of Wieners. He was in a movie called Wieners.
Yeah.
Control Z. Interesting. Big Mama's House 2. Ugh. So he doesn't have a ton of credits, but some of the stuff he's done is good. He's been a actor, looks like since 2001, 2002-ish. So he's got it, and I love that he said he's going to be in the gym for forever because Shazam is stacked. But speaking of Thor and DC and Justice League, it's kind of like it's all there wrapped into itself. It looks like Thor Ragnarok is going to kick some major ass at the box office. They're predicting it's like up to 125 million weekend debut.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Apparently. Thor Ragnarok has started airing in international markets where it's already hauled in $12.8 million.
Damn, fat cash. That's a okay preview night number. So I'm really looking forward to this movie. I've said it 100 times on this podcast. It's there was something about it when I saw the trailers that just from the cinematography alone was like, this movie's different. There's something different about it. How it's shot's different. Visually, it looks different. The graphics are a little bit different. 80% of the movie, I don't know if you know this, 80% was fully improv. Because the Tiki Watiti, I think that's his name, he's the director, he's very much like that. He wants to see the best in actors, but sometimes the best in actors is just who they are as a person. So he encouraged Chris Hemsworth to bring that goofy, hilarious, comedic side of him and not be this stiff Norse god, and full of if you think about the first Thor movie, it's like them trying to recite a Norse play, So this is a departure. I'm really looking forward to this, Brandon. What do you think about the numbers with Thor Ragnarok?
I think it'll do pretty well. And when we were talking about with the whole DC stuff, apparently Justice League is now they're predicting an opening weekend box office of 105 to 110, which is around where Spider-Man hit. I want to say is about 111 or whatever it was, which is pretty damn good. But it is far less than BVS, and is a little above or around the market of Wonder Woman. It's funny how we refer to these numbers as if like, oh well, then it's not doing good. But really, it's like it's doing good. But you think about how much money they spend on the damn movie. Another thing to note, though, is that DC has not yet started the big last minute market haul because they probably want to get past Thor. Once Thor's out of the way, now you're going to start seeing TV spots everywhere. You're going to be seeing radio. You're going to see this movie everywhere. Every time you load a YouTube video, okay, you're going to see Justice League. So that may skew the numbers. But if that movie comes out that first weekend, of course we're saying opening weekend, so we're not saying overall. We're saying opening weekend. And right now, DC has got to prove themselves. They did so with Wonder Woman, and we've said it here before. But with the misstep with BVS and Suicide Squad, this movie has to come out, and it has to be spread of word of mouth. This is actually worth to go see in theaters. And then you're going to see a potential, well, there might be some more to be made on the second week or the third week. People going, okay, you know what, maybe I will go and not wait till Redbox or, get it on video somewhere. So that's what I think. Does Thor Ragnarok have the capability of beating it? Absolutely. Absolutely, like they do, because here we are, even though the other two Thor movies really aren't probably worth it to say that they would be in contention for that. The other Marvel movies in general have been really good lately. So with this movie coming out and it already looking very good and it's reviewing very good, people are going to be like, okay, well, this is the safe bet. I can go see this movie and be entertained and have it not be a complete pile of shit. So with that being said, it's a very logical possibility that Thor is just going to go and like outperform it.
So I'm going to ask a weird question here with that. If it outperforms Justice League, let's just take a random bullshit-ass chance gamble and say that Justice League pulls in 107.3 mil, and Thor Ragnarok does like 124. That's conservative, a little bit on the low side, right? So if that were to happen, does that almost, and I know it's hard to even say this because it's so weird how everything is happening in the universe of movies and comic books and all this, do you think at that point we're at a juncture where DC's almost backpedaling, going, well, maybe we need to rethink everything and scrap and start again? Because, listen, first Thor, the mystique of, oh my God, we're going to see a Thor movie. People rush and go see it in theaters, okay? And it's not a bad movie. It's not an amazing movie. It's kind of somewhere it rides the middle. It's not the best Marvel product. Then you have Thor 2, again, another number one movie that Marvel released. They're on a roll. They've released so many number ones. That's one of them. But it wasn't a very memorable movie. There's not a lot of things you could even remember in that movie other than there's some weird blood-looking shit, right? This movie is like a Thor movie that everyone who's a Thor fan wants to see, amplified by people who are already interested in the Chris Hemsworth personality. So when they see his personality on screen, it's like, oh, this could be like a buddy comedy, a buddy cop movie. So I'm just curious, do you think this could signal a desperate change for DC?
I don't know about that because I feel like they they're already so far into going forward with the Batman stuff and with Aquaman and stuff like that. I don't think so. It's too late for them to just pull off course completely. But with what you're saying though, with the Thor, I really think that the product of this movie that we're going to see, it's there and it's that interesting, and because Thor has been made more interesting by his appearance in the Avengers movies, that has really shaped this character, unlike his own movies, where the focus is entirely on him. They haven't really been that interesting. But when he can joke and be buddy-buddy with Stark and with Captain and with all these guys and be there and be involved, he's part of a mass. And so people go there and go, yeah, dude, Thor was awesome in that movie. So when they go see this and they see, oh, he's teaming up with the Hulk. Well, okay, let's go, because Hulk doesn't, we haven't seen Hulk for a while. I think like this movie is doing, if it were just a straight-up Thor movie, it may not be as interesting as the story that they decided to go with. So, with that being said, like, we're gearing towards a very interesting, like fall and holiday season, because we have these two big comic book movies coming out in November, and then they're both going to get stomped by Star Wars, because even though it might not even do as well as Force Awakens, because of the big hype and the mystique and the wonder is Force Awakens. People went to go see that movie based on, I don't know, but now since the trailer has dropped for this, maybe it does do better, because now they're like, what are they doing with this? Wow, okay. So very interesting into the year. Very exciting for us, because it's we like talking about this shit. So I'm just looking to see where we're at on time, because it's kind of hard for me to do. We're about 13 minutes into this segment. I don't know how much more we have left to talk about these things.
Well, I want to say one thing. I don't know this officially. There's a little Justice League news I want to end with, mixed with a little Thor news. We'll start with Thor because we were just there. So as far as Thor, have you heard what the rumored post-credit scene is? Do you know anything about this?
Was that the Guardians picking up his body?
I'm pretty sure that's what is going to be. I don't quote me on that. I don't personally know that that's going to be the fact. That would be the most sensible thing. Tonally, there's been a shift. It's a little bit more comedy. Now Thor's floating body is going to end up on the Milano. It'll be hilarious. Now on the flip side, some people in China have started to review Justice League and talk about it. They can't say too much because there's embargoes on the reviews. However, confirmed, someone put in a tweet, it was a little bit understated, you will see the power of a green light. So I don't know if that was maybe a post-credit scene or what they're doing there, how that's all going to come into play, but it looks like we're going to get a Green Lantern at some point in Justice League. I don't know how you're going to do that. I think the worrisome thing at the end of this here that I want to kind of close on is DC has all the powers of the Flash and Batman and Superman and Cyborg and Wonder Woman and now possibly Green Lantern and Aquaman, and it might not outperform a movie with two Marvel superheroes, and then of course the dangerous question is, are DC going to be really smart and buy advertising on Marvel's movie so that Justice League plays before Thor? Because that's a smart thing to do. You have your audience right there. If they're going to get hooked, that's going to be the moment. Oh, I live in a fucking hole. I did not know there was a movie called Justice League coming out, That's kind of what I feel like some people might be like. So I'm excited regardless. Like you said, it's a beautiful time for us as fans because there are a lot of great movies coming out. Next week, yes, for sure, next week we will be able to talk about the next Walking Dead issue, comic book, because it will be out. We will be in November. No Shave November. I'm all ready.
You definitely got a clean start on that. But what we're going to do now is we're going to kick it back to the band to Walk Among Us. We're going to listen to another clip. We're going to come back and we're going to send you off on your way. So stick around and enjoy the song.
We
And welcome back. It is time to wrap up this show and send you on your way happy with it. Another song. We're going to hit you up with another song at the very end. But before all that, you got to know where to find us, man. You got to know you can go to journeytocomics.com to check out all of the great shows on the Journey into Comics network, except for Game Addicts Podcast. You go over to GameAddictsPodcast.com for that. But at JourneyIntoComics.com, you get Journey into Comics Podcast. You get the Poor Rapport. You get Foodies Watching Movies / Journey into Wrestling on Wednesdays, intermixing it weekly, you know. Then we have Podcastrophe, Butt Stuff, and now Brews with Dudes on Saturdays. And, of course, the Best of the Week compilation coming out on Sundays where you can dip your toe in. If you're brand new, check out those episodes. You'll get a little bit of taste of what we have to offer here. And, of course, you can download us on your favorite podcasting app or application over there on the iTunes. We're on, of course, on Podbean. We are on Stitcher Radio. We're on the Google Play Music, and we're on a couple different ones. Podchaser, you can find us there. Podcast Addicts, just search us, man. Search Journey to Comics or Journey to Comics Network. We pop right up. You can download all the greatest and latest new episodes from us. We're on all of the badass social media. We're on the Facebooks. We're on, of course, Twitter, JSC Network. Just search Journey to Comics. We're bound to come up on there. Instagram, we post on there sometimes of pictures of stuff that we're either talking about or doing. And I think we're on YouTube. Yeah, the episodes go to YouTube as well. If you were just sitting there at your computer and you're like, I get on YouTube, I don't know about this podcast stuff. Well, you can check out the episodes there as well. So I think I hit all of the plugs that we have to do.
Except for you missed one of our shows. Yeah, there's a show that you've done an episode with me of. Yeah, the Voice of Survival podcast every other Friday on the Journey into Comics Network. Brando, I want to thank you so much for coming out to our show. This has been a cool, different kind of episode. It's kind of retrospective because the last time we did an episode like this was at Carnahan Hall at Lafayette 6 months ago. So it's like it's really cool how everything kind of ties back up and wraps itself back up. But this was episode of Journey into Comics. This is 163. Maybe we'll call it From the Parking Lot. I'm not sure, but if that's going to do it for this week of Journey into Comics, I'm Nate.
And I'm Brando.
And we'll definitely see you guys later. Just keep filling your heads with shit.